welcome to Kingdom Life Today. I'm your host, Lynette Dutton, and I have got an amazing show about restoration for you today. God can restore all things. Now, I want you to stay tuned. This is going to be good.
We're living the kingdom life. My God keep blessing, yeah, you know that we just chillin', man. Living the kingdom life. You see me blessed, no, I never will be stressed, yeah. We're living the kingdom life. I don't know what they told you, but you know we living it. Living the kingdom life. My God keep blessing, yeah, you know that we just chillin', yeah. We're living the kingdom life. You see me blessed.
Thank you so much for coming to Myrtle Beach
I'm glad
from
to
North
be
Carolina
here.
and enjoying the sunshine this weekend and giving us a chance to catch up and letting all those people on DTV know a little bit about yourself and what God's doing in your life and your family and everything that we'll uncover later. I'm just excited, so excited to have you and the whole family here.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for the opportunity and always glad to come to the coast.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a fun trip.
It is.
It's a
yes,
fun trip.
yeah.
So tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and we'll go from there.
All right. So I'm Meredith. Meredith Green, married to Travis. We've been married for about 21 years. We'll be 22 in December. We have 7 children, 2 older girls, 4 boys, and then a little 3-year-old girl. So my husband does all things real estate, property management. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've worked in urgent care, emergency medicine, and most recently addiction treatment that I think we'll talk about later. So, and we just, we love Jesus. God's done a lot of stuff in our life. I look forward to sharing a little bit about that. So and I'm glad to be here.
Yay! He has done a lot of stuff in our lives, and we've walked through a lot together.
Yes.
And recently via text message because we're not close.
Right.
But 7 kids, wow. So every time I talk about you, I talk about like you're the superstar
Oh, no.
because I had 2 that were 5 years apart, and now I have 2 grandbabies that are about 5 years apart, and it's like so almost like raising one at a time when they're 5 years apart,
Right,
because
right.
one's up and kind of out of the house, but you've had them pretty consecutive, and there's a rate because Macy, the oldest, is in college,
Yes, correct.
and then the youngest is 3.
Just 3.
So tell me what it's like to be a mom of 7, and then on top of that, you still work and go to school and do all kinds of fun, amazing things.
So it's busy, but it's a lot of fun. It's, and the older ones help out with the little ones. They're little moms. But it's been such a blessing just to watch them grow and change and see what God's doing in their life. And it's for sure. Sometimes the days are so long, but that saying is true that the years really are short. I can't believe my oldest is in college, and
Me
but
either.
it's I know, but it's been goodness. It's the best part of my life. It really is being mom to them, and trying to find the balance is hard sometimes, but I just look to God, and He's always worked it out and adjusted things for me when I was stubborn and wasn't trying to do too much, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard not to do too much
Yeah, that's true.
with a career, a spouse,
Yeah.
and kids.
Yeah.
So, if it's 1 or 7, and they're all active in sports,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I know all the
Something.
older ones are. But I think what is so cool is I remember when we first met, and Macy was so quiet, and she did like singing in choir and stuff, but now to see how she's blossomed and how she's on fire for God, and Carly to see, I can remember one of the first times that we were talking about how in tune she was to the Spirit. She was real young, and how she had, I think it was when she was praying for you and her dad,
Yes.
and she had crazy faith,
Oh, yes.
and she'd dream, and she'd say like, I just know, yeah. and to see, when you grow up, you have those bumps and
Sure.
the things that distract you and stuff. But then to see what you've told me here this morning of how, she's pursuing God, and it's just so beautiful.
I remember going to tuck her in one night when we were separated, and I pulled the covers up and felt something like in the bed with her, and I pulled it down, and it was our wedding picture that we had,
Oh my gosh.
that I had shoved in the closet. And, I just took it, and of course I cried.
Yeah.
But I remember the next morning asking her about it, and she said, "Mama, I just held your picture and prayed until I went to sleep." And yeah, so
And it's the faith of children.
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, not only that it sparks and makes our faith just go, wow,
Yeah.
if you can believe for that,
Yes,
then, but how it touches God's heart, and He responds to that childlike faith.
yeah,
And I think, I remember that day that you had shared that with me, how it's like, God, I want that childlike faith where I can grab a picture and just, and hang on to it and say, whether it's for life or health or marriages or,
Yes.
whatever it may be, is to have that kind of faith.
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's so beautiful. And it's so neat how God uses each in their own unique, special way.
Yes.
Like because you think of, how awesome God must be with all these different personalities. And they all love Him in different ways
So different, yes.
and different expressions. Some are loud like me and some are quiet like But when we come together, what a beautiful fragrance that is to God. And that's I think when I think of your family, I think of it as that, like a bouquet, a beautiful fragrance of, just uniqueness and beauty.
Thank you. I love
Oh, yeah. So, but I've seen God do some really beautiful, crazy, great things because you, like Carly, have that unique faith. And I can remember one of our first conversations we had, you said, I haven't told many people because not many people believe, but can you believe? And I said, yeah.
that. And I remember you saying that because I knew you all were those people that
Yeah.
I could come to with that.
Yeah. So tell us just a little bit about your story, whatever part you
Okay.
want to share.
Yeah, I'm glad to share it all because I'm thankful for what God has done. So, as I said, we've been married for 21 years. Shortly before our 10th anniversary, we decided that we didn't want to be married anymore. That it was just too hard. We just didn't want to do it, and so we split up. And he dated some other people. I found this other guy, started dating him, and in what I see as confusion from the enemy now, in all of that, I thought, okay, God's answered my prayers. He sent me everything I ever wanted. I mean, good guy. He loved Jesus, wanted to be a counselor. So I never felt complete peace through all of that time. Even though I wanted to believe this was like my happy ever after, I never felt that peace. And so finally I started going back to what I knew, and that was the Word of God. And I
Amen.
started just praying. And one of my still favorite verses today, it's in John, and 1 John, and it says, this is the confidence we have in Him, that we can come to Him, we can ask anything according to His will, and when we do, He hears us, and when He hears us, it is done. And I knew that in the middle of what felt like complete chaos in my life, I knew that, God, I need your will, that's what I want. And gradually my heart started changing about this relationship I was in, and I knew that I had to end it. And this was on into close to 10 months of being with this guy. And I found out I was pregnant. But I knew that I had to end it anyway. So all of that was chaotic and just so ended things. And I spent the next probably month or so just in the Word, by myself, focusing on my children, praying, knowing that God was going to help me fix this mess. And
But to the natural eye, it looked impossible.
Oh yeah, and that
I mean, y'all were both in
Oh,
relationships.
absolutely. Oh yeah,
And it
I
was
pregnant.
over.
Yeah,
And you were pregnant.
yep.
And
And it was this still small voice in me that God said, like I knew He was going to fix it. Felt impossible. It looked impossible, but it was that little bitty voice. God told me He's still your husband. You're still His wife. That's what my word says. You do not quit.
it's a covenant.
And the few people I tried to share it with before I came to you was, Meredith, it's over. It's impossible. You're just gonna have to face
Move
it.
on.
Like it's just move on. There's no way. There's no way. And I remember hearing a sermon one day about. I was listening to a podcast sermon, and they were talking about when Zerubbabel went to, or was told by prophet Zechariah to rebuild the temple at Mount Moriah, and he had laid the foundation for the temple, and then I think 10 years went by, and nothing happened. And that's when the prophet came and said, you have to rebuild this temple, you have to start again. And
Wow.
so once that foundation was laid, he got a capstone and put it in place, and the capstone was like the final piece of stone that would be put on the temple, and it was to serve as a reminder that God's gonna finish what He started. And so I went and bought this Bible at the Christian bookstore, and I had my husband's name engraved on it.
Oh.
And I laid it on my nightstand as a capstone that God, you're going to finish what you started. And if you don't care, I'm going to share what I wrote
Yes.
inside it.
Yes, share.
So I wrote in it, I said, Philippians 1:6, I said, God will complete the promise He has put in my heart. My family's future will be restored. God had put a desire in Zerubbabel to rebuild the temple at Mount Moriah in a city that had been destroyed. Zerubbabel built the foundation of that temple, but people who lived nearby stopped him from doing any more work. For 10 years, there was no progress on the temple, and I thought that was significant because here we were at our 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
After 10 years had passed, a prophet by the name of Zechariah came by. He said, Zerubbabel, God sent me all this way to give you 2 words, start again. After a decade, Zerubbabel started again. Zechariah then instructed him to bring out the capstone, which is the final piece of stone set aside to mark completion of the temple. It was important to keep the capstone on display as the work continued because every time he looked at it, Zerubbabel was reminded that God is a God of completion. This Bible is my capstone to a foundation built 10 years ago when I married you, Travis. It represents the final piece to my dream to see my family restored. This Bible, with your name engraved on it, reminds me that God will finish what He started in your life and in this family. When it is time for God to promote us, to vindicate us, to restore us, all the forces of darkness cannot stop good things from happening. The scripture says that at the appointed time, the promise will come to pass and will not be 1 second late. Travis, right now you see things imperfectly, like puzzling reflections in a mirror, but then you will see everything with perfect clarity. All that you know now is partial and incomplete, but then you will know everything completely, just as God now knows you completely. I love you, Travis. Love, Meredith. And that was April the 18th of 2013.
Wow.
And God restored my marriage and my
Okay,
baby.
y'all. We are filming this on April 13th.
I know. I really did not.
Oh my
until I
gosh.
pulled this out again and looked at it, I was like, wow, the dates.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and not only, I think my favorite part of all this story is not, I mean, I've seen God continue. We went on, I had the baby, we've had 2 more children, and I think all the time, and just the way God has blessed our family, I think about what I would have missed if I didn't listen to that
Still
little
small voice.
Yes, yeah. And the favorite part of this is that after we're back together, things are going really good. I hear another pastor talking about this story in this sermon, and I heard them say, and I even wrote it down. He was talking about the story with the temple, and he read the verse where it said, "Think about this 18th day of December when the foundation of the Lord's temple was laid." And December 18th is our anniversary. And I thought, man, God, back when we picked this random date to get married, and we literally picked it because it's what we did a wedding in Jamaica. We picked it because it was what was available.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, God
It looked-
laid a foundation for our family on that day. Like,
Yeah.
and the fact that I didn't know anything about that date until, so that just shows
God is
how
so
God works.
intentional.
Oh yeah, very intentional.
And things that we think of, okay, well, that was when it was available.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't know that God booked the place out,
Yeah.
whatever he
Yeah,
had to do to make sure that
Every
you had
little
that,
detail.
because at some point you're going to have to look back at that date as a memorial
Absolutely.
with
Yeah.
significance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just, and how he plans. I had no idea that's, I mean, I remember you saying
I
you
don't
had
think
gotten
I
a Bible,
shared all
but
that
I didn't know
much.
the dates
Yeah.
and all that stuff. When we said, oh, this is the weekend we can get together.
Yeah, yeah.
You can
Yeah.
travel, I've got free.
Yeah,
And how significant
even that is.
that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when God was working on your heart,
Yeah.
and he was working in your children's heart,
Yeah.
to believe for things,
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and to stand, and children sometimes stand and don't let go,
Mm-hmm.
even more so than us.
Yeah.
But he was also working on Travis's heart,
Oh,
even though it didn't,
Yeah.
by looking on the outside, it wouldn't, he looked like he had moved on.
There would be times I remember I would be up in the middle of the night just praying for him because I could see again, like, I don't think you're seeing clearly. Like, he would
Yeah.
even tell me, oh, it's just over. Like,
Yeah.
it's over. And I remember I would be up, like, just praying in the floor. And I remember he would call and say, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. Are you okay? And he's like, I don't think so. And all he could ever tell me in those phone calls, and there were several, is something's just not right. Something like, I think God was dealing with his heart at that time, and he just wasn't sure how to.
Articulate.
Yeah, he just
What was
knew.
going on.
And then I secretly was almost like, thank you, God, I know you're worried. You know,
Right,
it gave
that's
me
a
that
sign.
little bit of hope to keep praying, keep
Yeah.
praying. I'm working. Yeah, so. Oh.
That it's just, to me, it's so funny how God works.
Oh yeah.
And how he makes things or uses our mess, and it doesn't stop him.
It does not stop him.
It doesn't for those online, it doesn't matter how bad you mess up.
Absolutely.
It could be to where everybody says there's no hope for you. You've hit bottom. And that was that way with your marriage and what people were saying. And it seemed like both of you had moved on, and it was sealed, it was over. But God had so much more of the story that was left. And so that's beautiful. But we see that throughout your life, throughout so many other people's lives, is how he keeps doing that. And it seems like we go far from him sometimes. We get down this path of how we think things should look, or how we think we should feel, or what we think his will is. And sometimes we don't go back and check this, or really get on our knees and fast about some stuff. And so we find ourselves in cycles, or we find ourselves, in pits, and we find ourselves in holes. And, we get to the point where, some people actually do hit like rock bottom, and, they have to figure a way out, or God has to reach down, way down sometimes. And then other times we just make a great mess, and it's like, okay, God, now I can't do anything with this. What are you what are you gonna do? There's no way this could work out, but you. And so I love those stories that it's like, but God, and God always shows up.
Always shows up.
And so I remember you coming back together, getting back together, and how was that transition with trying to figure that piece of life out of, okay, we've separated, we had two separate lives, now we're...
Yeah. And we almost had to, kind of get to know each other again almost. And it was, I won't even say it was easy making that decision. It was more, and it wasn't a decision based on emotion fully. It was, God, this is what your word says, and we're going to trust you, and we're going to believe you, and we're going to do it. And it may or may not be easy, but we know it's right, and we know that you're going to bless that. And oh man, did he ever. Because what we have now is not, it's far better than what we ever had or would have imagined, and I know that that's just God.
Yeah.
And it's really taught me a lot about being obedient to His word, despite even how you feel, despite what you think. Just He gives us His word because He loves us, not
Yeah.
because it's rules and laws and things we have to follow. He gives it because He knows if we do what's in His word, that our life's going to be so full. And I think it's taught my children that, I mean, there's been things they went through, and I love it because they're like, you know, Mom, you know what He did for you? Like, this is nothing.
This is easy compared to
and
that.
all I have to do is pray and know that He's going to, you know, be like hard breakups that my girls have went through. They're like, no, God's going to take care of us. That wasn't what He had. And I love that what it even did for their
testimony
faith.
for them.
Yeah. And I remember my dad telling me one time, he's pretty strong in his faith, and I was like, Dad, I've just messed up. Like, I feel like I've messed up my life, my children's life. And he's like, your kids are growing up in a time where they have to be warriors for God. And
Absolutely.
And you just, what you're doing is not messing them up. It's showing them that, you know, you got to have faith. You got to pray. God will take care of it. So I always thought that was special that he said that. Cause
You've got awesome
He wanted
parents.
to, I thought he was going to be like, you sure have.
Yeah.
You messed up every, but no, that's what he told me. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. And, you know, whatever we're facing, whatever you're going through today, He created the Word to have answers in it.
Absolutely.
If we just stop and look. And I'm thinking of that scripture that, you know, that He gave you and things that have been witnessed and how you could stand on that. And it's still one of those founding scriptures of your faith today. And how we can go back and how we can look and just say, your Word is what keeps us.
Yes.
It's like a lamp unto my feet. And it shows us which way to go.
Absolutely.
If we stop and
Yes,
listen.
if we
and
listen,
look.
that's right. That's right.
So what I think, and I know your marriage is strong, because I loved how seeing you guys come back together and knowing it was work, knowing there was obstacles, there was a
For
lot of
sure.
hurdles, there was a lot of tests and trials,
Yeah.
and not so much from inside of the marriage, but the things and circumstances outside the marriage, and how He stood by you, and how you've stood by each other through some of those obstacles. And some of them are good obstacles, like going back to school
Right.
and getting more degrees and going back to work. And you know, thinking of like during 2019 is you were just really getting into the ER and urgent care and emergency, and you know, there's no school. So, I mean, who's taking care of the kids
COVID
now?
happened, yeah. We were tag team and homeschooling. That wasn't part of the plan. So
No, it's not a part of the plan.
Yeah.
But that's how you know that you have a good, strong faith,
Yeah,
is when you can do things
yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
aren't a part of the plan.
That's right.
What are some of the other significant things that stick out?
About marriage or just in general?
In general.
Yeah. So I was thinking back, even on the way driving here, just thinking about everything, and I thought about, you know, how God has kind of showed up and showed out all through my life, like just things that just positioning me for what He wanted for me. And even the numerous times I tried to go down my own road, it just, He just kept positioning me where he wanted me to be, and I just, gosh, can't even thank Him enough for that. I will say I had one specific miracle. It was kind of a healing miracle, but after we had gotten back together, I went to the doctor for a routine checkup, and they got a lab report back that there was like you have some precancer cells. We've got to deal with this. And you know, fear came over me again, and then I thought, God, you just brought me through this trial.
Right?
And I was like, there's no way you brought me through this to like end it like this.
Absolutely.
And so I remember praying again, and really didn't even have the words. I'd just been through this big battle, and I felt exhausted from that battle. And I was
Right.
like, God, I can't, another battle. And I remember they had scheduled a procedure like to deal with this, and I was in that doctor's office, And I remember sitting on that table before the procedure, and I had no words to pray, and I just started saying, Jesus, 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 like, Jesus be here in this situation. And I remember that doctor came in, very trusted doctor, I've known him forever, started to do the procedure, was going to try to get rid of these precancer cells. And I remember him stopping, and he sat up, and he was like, there's nothing here. Like, I see nothing, there's nothing to take. And then he said, this is not something that just goes away. And then he started kind of going down this, well, maybe it was just a false positive report, but I was like,
No,
I
it was
knew
God.
Exactly, it was God. So he still heals, he still performs miracles for anybody, anytime. You just have to have faith, believe, ask, and seek after his will. It's been a interesting road, but I'm so thankful for who he is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not easy just to
Let it all.
on national TV.
Yeah. No,
But
I just cannot not give him credit for what he and I want everybody else to know that it does not matter at all what you're facing. He is God. He will do what he done for me and more for you. He is the answer.
He is the answer. No matter what you're going through, I want you to know that Jesus is the answer. You can find his answer in the words. You can find it in prayer. And I want you, just like Meredith has said, you've not gone too far. You've not messed up too much. He's there for you. And just pray and reach out. All the numbers are on the bottom of the screen. If you need prayer, call us today. I love you. God bless you. Till next time. Bye. Hi, everybody. Lynette Dutton here, the host of Kingdom Life Today. And I have got so many great nuggets for you to help you live the empowered kingdom life. If you would, follow me on social media. I'm across every platform, and I also want you to hit subscribe on my YouTube channel, so if you miss an episode, you can go back and watch the rerun. And don't forget to visit my website, LynetteDutton.com. I have mentoring programs and all other types of resources that will help you live the kingdom life today.
My God keep blessing, yeah, you know that we just chillin', man. Living the kingdom life. You see me blessed, no, I never will be stressed, yeah. We're living the kingdom life. I don't know what they told you, but you know we living it. Living the kingdom life. My God keep blessing, yeah, you know that we just chillin', yeah. We're living the kingdom life. You see me blessed.